Tonight is not just another conversation. Tonight is something special that we're doing, and it's all about purpose. This purpose is about legacy, and it's about 81-year-old Donald Meek, Papa Don, who refused to let time or age or fear stop him or from building again. Most people quit when they get into their 50s, but no, Papa Don, 81 years old. I mean, he started over in his 70s. And so he looked in life in its eye after setbacks, health scares, failures, and said, you know what, I'm not done yet. That's why tonight is so special, my friends. This is a different live virtual conversation because it's not just hype, we're helping as well. Someone reach their why. And yes, you're not too late, ever too late to reach your goals, to rewrite your story, to never too late to create your income, never too late to chase your why. And so for 48 hours, we have the opportunity to on a mission for August 20th through August 21st, 2025, Donald Papa Don Meek's book. It's going to launch on Amazon, and we're trying to get to the bestseller status, not to next week, right now. So we don't have an Alex Hormozy style counter on the screen where we're going to get the Guinness Book of Records or anything, but we do have something even more powerful. We have a community, we have family, and we have every single one of you that has a chance to help someone make history. So tonight we're going to actually just kind of get it off like a pregame, just talking. And I'm not asking for applause or anything more than just support, just a nod. Just I'm in to click, act, to move. And I'm putting up on the screen the link that you can go to as it's right now available to get on the Amazon bestseller list. So what happens is we're going to stand together in purpose, legacy. And this is kind of my first random acts of kindness leading up to September 6th, my birthday. But tonight is much bigger than a random act of kindness to me. It's about helping someone accomplish their goals, not letting age or anything set them back, not letting anything step them back. So before I bring Papa Don on, I want to kind of go through the steps of what you will go through in order to take action and actually purchase the book. So, the link here, I'm going to actually put on the screen here for you. And so when you go to the link, I'm gonna bring it up here. And this rules, take a look at Papa Don's Amazon book, and I'll bring him in here as well. So Papa Don, welcome to the live virtual conversation. I'm walking through everyone watching how to take action in regards to your 3 steps to 10,000, the Earn Wisdom Map to 10,000 online. Welcome. How are you this amazing evening?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm amazing. And so as you can see now, we're on the screen in Amazon, and right now we're still says pre-order because again, it's going to be available tomorrow, August 20th. So I just wanted to go through the steps of what it will look like for someone to go through a purchase, and then we'll jump into our conversation, Papa Don.
I'm sorry?
I was saying I was showing people what it would look like when they go to Amazon to actually get started.
All right.
Mm-hmm. But of course, it's going to send me a code and everything else. But we'll get back into that. So let's talk a little bit about and get into the conversation. How are you doing in regards to just the process and leading up to the anticipation of August 20th?
Well, it's kind of anticlimactic. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of detail to get a book published, and there's a lot of detail and just getting out of the door of Amazon. And it finally, you've been able to buy it for a while, but they're going to release it tomorrow.
Okay.
And for, like, as you said, I priced the book at 99 cents for right now. I had to put a price on it, but I put it 99 cents, and that's for tomorrow and Thursday. And then the price goes to $19.95. And so it's this 48-hour window of the 20th and 21st that if I can make a certain number of sales through that, I'll be given that bestseller award. And I intend to write 2 or 3 more books, so that would be very helpful downstream.
I definitely
I think the book has value to a lot of people, so I hope that's a residual that occurs.
I mean, it definitely, you've impacted so many people. And so just to jump right into understanding what's harder for you, you would think, making your first dollar online or making your first $10,000 online? And why would you actually have that mindset?
Well, honestly, I think the first dollar is the hardest, it's what's important is that becomes a proof of concept moment for everyone. When you get that first dollar, all of a sudden you validated the work you've been through, and it worked. And once you crack the code, scaling to 10K becomes just about discipline and following the process. It's not guessing anymore.
Okay, makes sense. So if you've ever bought a course and people haven't finished it, we definitely understand some people fail, some people don't finish the process, or being overwhelmed in tech or that type of thing. But in regards to you accomplishing this goal as an Amazon bestseller, you're going to have struggles, and kind of talk to us a little bit about what that process looked like. You said it was a lot to get this started. If you were,
Well, it was. I've never written a book before, and so it took me several months to get the courage up. But just like everything else we do in this business, you've got to get started and you've got to try. And it turned out that I worked hard. I had a lot of support, and the reviews when I sent the rough drafts out came back very positive, and so I felt comfortable with it. And I had it edited by some pretty high level copywriters. And anyway, we'll see. The book, for the right person, it has value, and the process is just a process. It's like everything else we start in any business, whether it's a store or whatever business we buy or own. We've got new things we have to deal with. And so there was a lot of new things I had to learn to deal with, but they were just tasks and they were just things that I had to do. And hopefully it'll go very well. I'm very comfortable that for those people that do have a chance to read the book, I think they'll get value out of it. And if that's one person, I'll be happy with one person. Okay.
Well, you've already impacted one person. That's Adriane Mayes from Detroit, Michigan. So you've covered that. You've already accomplished your goal, hands down. So, like, Papa Don, what are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people make trying to earn income online, if I can ask?
I think chasing shiny objects is a big deal. I think that's a huge stopping point for a lot of people. I think overcomplicating the tech, I think, and then quitting right before it works is also something that I see. I see so many people that have the ability to become good at online marketing, but they get caught up in some of the drama we have to go through in the beginning, and they get away from it, and they start losing their motive. Their motive, it sounded good when they had it, but once they got into the trenches, maybe the 9 to 5 looks better than I thought. And,
right.
It's that sort of thing. I spend a lot of time coaching people and consulting. And the two things that I deal with more than anything else is having a person stay on track. And I think you've heard me tell this story before. I had a young man just recently that before he had picked which software, he wanted to get into it. And I said, well, this is a good product. That's a good product. This is a good product. And I said, I'm not going to recommend any of them to you. I'm going to tell you they all work. And there's some that when I get to know you better, I'll tell you. And as I got to know him better, I realized that he probably was not technically as quick as some. And so I introduced him to a course that was quite easy to understand, and had a tremendous amount of customer support. But I lectured him on the front. I said, now look, I'll work with you, but here's the ground rules. I said, have you ever hiked? He said, oh yeah, I love to hike. And I said, well, okay, well, we're going to take a hike, and we're going to take it together. And we can see the peak up there that we want to get to, but we also can see the trail. And I said, the trick to this whole thing, before you even start the first day of training, is you've got to keep your eye on the trail, not the peak. The peak is the glory. The path that we're on is the way we get there. And you've got to keep your eyes on that path. You got to focus on the next step, or if you slip off the trail, you're going to fall and get hurt, or you might get killed, whatever. But let's stay on the path. And so I approach the training just like that. And the people that I deal with on a weekly basis, I can see what they're doing, and I make comments and so forth. But my role is to keep them on the path and keep them in the game for themselves. And that's the biggest thing that where I see people fail is they get a little frustrated because they run into some tech or something that upsets them, and they stop working and they start as a shiny object. They start looking at the peak again, and they get lost, and a year later they're right where they were when they started, except they've been through a frustration. And anyway, that's my reality check.
And then understandable. So you and I met in Passion Over Profits, and I know that we're going to drop this. I'm going to try to get a support from all of our communities as much as possible to, just connect. I know you call them what you call them, the Bopsy twins, Daniel Chu and Nathan Volkers.
I love those guys, but
they're amazing.
That's just easier for me to say than their names.
Right. I know, right? So why do you think so many people end up spinning their wheels with endless courses instead of results?
Really, for the reasons I stated, shiny objects is a huge thing, and it's a huge thing. Once you've been through your training, you're running a company. You're starting a company. You're running a business,
right?
And you've got to be able to focus on those things that need to be done and those things that make you money. And yes, I'm a very inquisitive person. I can see something that reads good. I can easily spend 2 hours learning more about it if I'm interested in it. But I will not allow myself to do that until I have achieved for that day the things I need to do to make money for my business. I don't have the option to look at shiny objects or look at other projects or look at whatever. And the more experienced I get, the more opportunities come my way. And I still don't have time to deal with them. I have to deal with the things that drive, and then I have a little time I can spend on the what if stuff. But you've just got to focus. I mean, that's it. And I've in 3 steps, I laid out a very simple path for people to take, and it utilizes a lot of the things the Bopsy twins talk about. In fact, that young man I talked about, that was in fact the software I suggested that he take, and the reason was because I'm very supportive of their level of customer service, their responsiveness, and so forth. And I knew that this young man was going to need that. And anyway, there's a lot of. I mean, Jonathan's got programs, David Sharp's got programs. There's other programs, and I don't really care from a financial point of view because I'm affiliates for all of them. But
right.
I'll get my tip.
right.
For serving the table.
So we talked a little bit about the young man, like you said, you referred him to a program. Have you ever personally hit rock bottom yourself where you kind of felt like giving up, and how did you push through that mental barrier?
Well, as you know from our prior conversations, I've owned businesses. I've done a lot of things in my life. I mean, I've been around a long time, and in business, you're always going to be hit with something. It doesn't matter how well you plan, how big your organization is. There's going to be a gotcha coming up, and you got to deal with it. So I am just accustomed to that as a reality, and it doesn't upset me. It doesn't set me back. It's just shit. This thing came up, and I got to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather go do something else. It's going to screw up my golf afternoon or whatever. But I got to take care of it. And so that's just a mindset that I have. It's not a thing I have to struggle with. It's so deeply ingrained in me now that it's just a fact. I got to get this taken care of. And I I didn't ever get frustrated with the learning process of the whole thing. I was intrigued with it. I didn't know. I came out of running a regular company, and mostly software companies, and I had a manufacturing company. Well, I had a couple of manufacturing companies, but they all had their own different issues. Okay,
Right.
and but none of them were any less complex or more complex than learning online marketing. And it was just, I mean, it didn't frustrate. I knew it was going to be I knew it was a hill I had to climb, and I knew I had to take a step at a time, and I knew I had to get the detail down. I had to understand it. Most of it I didn't know anything about. I was well into my 70s before I even heard of online marketing. I didn't even know about it. And that's kind of weird, but it's the truth. And I was fortunate. I got started with David Sharp and Legendary, and I enjoyed their training. And I was, like I said, I've taken Jonathan's and the Bobbsey Twins and others, and they're all good programs.
So when you talk about being stuck, and if you don't have something called a why, how does that really, because a lot of people discover their why, how does that impact in regards to understanding the challenges and getting through the struggles? So have you seen people not really discover their why, or
I'd say that gets to be almost the norm.
Right.
What people do is they hear about one of the, like the Bobbsey Twins program, online marketing, how you do that, and how you sell it to someone else. But that may not be a person's why. That isn't their interest. It might be, they may have some interest in some pharmaceutical product or some sporting product or some family product or whatever it is. The important thing about a why, and it is one of the most critical things that you can do when you get into online marketing, is you need to associate with something you are passionate about, something you care about, something that it's not work for you to learn more about it. It's because it's your interest. Right. But your why, where people make a mistake, I call it because they borrow someone else's vision without building their own why. And I talk about that big time in the book. I say you've got to give yourself the opportunity to understand your why.
Right.
And without personal reason bigger than struggles, people will default to the comfort instead of action. If it's not something they're really interested in, when it gets frustrating, they're not going to put that extra work in because it's not interesting to them. Right. If they're dealing with, let's say it's an individual say it's a guy who wants bodybuilding, and so he gets into that, and he goes to the gym and he does that. He's active in that. That's something he's passionate about. That's a very different story for him to come up with his why. He wants to share what's worked for him. That's his why. Right. But if he were thrown into, well, now you need to become an affiliate marketer. You need to know how to sell other people's products. He doesn't care about that. He wants to go to the gym and work out, and he should focus on what his passion is. And so I encourage people to spend a lot of time really being honest with themselves and coming up with what their why is. Because if you have that nailed, you're a long way down the path. But if I give you a what and a how and you don't have a why,
right,
you'll see the potential, you'll see the power, and yet still do nothing different than you're already doing. And that's not acceptable. That's not meets minimum.
And you nailed it on the actual head, honestly, Papa Don. So when you think about challenges, right, because that why is so impactful. One of the challenges I've seen is people have fear. And so what's the hardest challenge you faced, Papa Don, when you tried to rebuild? Like you said, you didn't know about online marketing until after 70, and how did that stop you?
It didn't.
Or almost stop you, because it didn't stop you, right?
It didn't stop me at all. I had frustrating moments, like everyone has. There were some things in that was harder for me to do than someone else could have done.
Right.
I remember, I think I referred to this before, that I spent 3 or 4 days trying to write a landing page, and I put it out, and the only person that read it was me, and it didn't go anywhere. And so that was frustrating. I wasted a lot of time, but I learned. And, it's, as long as you're failing forward, as long as you don't let failure get in your way, as long as you don't let that frustration overwhelm you and deter you back, and you've got to keep your objective in mind. You say, I'm doing this. That's why the why is so bloody important, because it allows you to maintain that all the way through the process. Anyway, that's what I believe, and I work with students pretty hard on that topic. We'll spend some time, and they just have to be honest with themselves. It's really interesting as you deal with a lot of people. And I'm not down on education. I'm really not. My mother was a teacher. My wife was a teacher. My father, at one time, before he went into banking, was a superintendent of schools, and I grew up in that environment. But our system turns out they train people to go get a job and work for someone, and that's supposed to be the medal you get to keep. You got this job, and you got a promotion, you got another medal, and you just keep going. Well, that's interesting, but that's a way to live life. If that's the way you want to live your life, I'm not going to have an opinion on that. But if you want to make an impact on yourself, do what you want to do. If you want to maybe reach financial freedom, which is, I think, a thing that most people want to do. And that's got a lot of definitions. You don't have to be a millionaire to have reached financial freedom. You need to have a steady revenue stream that you're not busting your butt to keep going. And you do it on your own time and your own space. That's freedom. And anyway, that's what I think this is all about.
And we talked a little bit about that earlier as well, because again, education-wise, I've been on both sides. I've been under the entrepreneur side, and my mother was an educator, retired. My sister used to be in the Detroit public school system. Family, everyone is. And so education, definitely, I agree with you. But when I look at, and I hate to put the but on there, because I applaud teachers, because they have the toughest job in the world, because they teach the millionaires and billionaires, but they get paid the least amount, and the value that they're actually providing. And so when you look at the online marketing world and the freedom that you kind of briefly talked about, it's so crazy. It's like night and day in regards to the opportunities. So like if someone would take action now, because there's what I really love about you, Papa Don, and I told you this earlier, is there's no limit to change. And if someone does not take action now, what does their life look like in 12 months versus if they follow your 3 steps?
It looks just like it looked last year. And if they don't address that, it'll look that way at the end of this year too. And they can let overwhelm get to them. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of noise online, tools, gurus, platforms, et cetera, and people confuse movement with progress. Okay. They're busy, but they're not building. Mm-hmm. And it repeats because distractions feel easier than discipline. And people have to acknowledge the disciplines required to take those steps. And if they do, they'll do good. And if they don't, the same old cycle, more courses, more regret, another year gone. But if they follow the 3 steps I lay out in the book, in 12 months, they'll have proof of progress, not just a pile of notes. And progress is contagious.
And I like on the book too that you have 3 steps to 10K, a simple blueprint to build online income from home, even if you're over 50 and not techie. So you kind of went through already what life would look like, with these 3 steps implemented into your life. But what's the biggest misconception people have about making money online that you've seen?
the misconception. I think they think that it's. I think they treat it like it's a lottery, and they got a lottery ticket, and if they learn how to do it, they're going to win $1 million and so forth. And
Right.
they need to treat it as a process, and it's a process they need to learn, and they need to do it. They need to learn the basics first, and even at that level, they can start getting revenue. That's why I go back to that. I got so many stories, but someone makes the first $100, $200. That's a huge deal. If you haven't, that's why I said the first dollar is the hardest dollar, because that at least gives proof of concept to you. But once people get into it and they see it work, and they stay in their lane, they don't try to do all things that you can do in this industry, but just do the things that work, and just keep scaling, and just keep getting a little bigger and taking on a little more, and just stay with it and get your work done. It really is very simple. No, that's not the right word. It's very straightforward to do, and it is all simple, but it's also overwhelming, and you got to be in charge of yourself, and you got to take responsibility for it. I can ramble on, I don't think that's what you want me to do.
But. No worries. But I mean, what we're doing here today in trying to help with your Amazon bestseller goals, it's something that you believe in. And is there something you believed in for years that turned out to be completely wrong once you actually started building this digital income online?
Well, no, not really. And the reason was that, like I said earlier, I didn't know anything about online marketing, period. My idea of having a job was to buy a company and go run it. And I've lived in Seattle our entire adult life, and I had my office in New York. For years, I flew to New York every Sunday night, and I flew home every Friday night, and I got back on the plane next Sunday night and did it again. And then later, I had a similar thing in Miami, where I was going to Miami for about 5 years. I was going to Miami every week, and we were buying hospitals, and we were doing a lot of things. And so I have always been busy. I've always had things to do. And when I got into, I made the decision, I'm getting off the airplanes after the Miami thing, because I'd been traveling, and plus I was old. I mean, that was in the late, it was probably 2018, 2019. So it wasn't that long ago. So I was old then too. And, but I wanted to get off the airplanes. And so I was trying to figure out something I could do from home, but I didn't want to have a store. I didn't want to do that. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But anyway, when I found out about online marketing, I said, this is great, because I can sell stuff and I don't have to go anywhere. And I can build a business that does that. So I was charged all the way through it. I hit frustrating moments, but I never got discouraged. I didn't have any feeling like that. To me, it was just another molehill I had to get over and be on my way. And so I didn't have any setback in it. I mean, I had setbacks technically where I had to work harder than the average bear to understand something, but that comes on me. I can't. That's not the training. It's just I'm not the brightest bear in the world. And anyway, I didn't really have setbacks. And
I can't say that you weren't the brightest bear in the world. I'm going to change it and have you say that it was just something new and a new challenge that you never had experience to.
Well, I own 2 software companies along my journey, and we used to do a lot of very sophisticated things. And I think I've mentioned in another interview we had that when
you were a millionaire. So you didn't get there. Not
a long time ago. The money went out of the deal a long time ago.
But it happened. You can't. That's like saying we were born a long time ago. Like it was a part. So it's a part of your journey. And I used to think like that too. The things that you happen.
But going back to the book and so forth. And I don't mean it that first of all, we don't need to hype the book anymore. I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate anyone that wants to drop 99 cents, give me another vote on my trying to get to be a best-selling author. And I don't, Amazon has an algorithm that you got to play with. And anyway, going back to the book though, and I talked about being scared. I talked about not knowing what I was going to do, how to do it. My purpose was much more, my objective was so much more powerful than my fear. And my objective was, yes, I have been fortunate on my journey and I've accumulated a little bounty along the way. Okay. But I'm old now and I think about, well, what do I leave? I don't need, my babies are 56 and 58. So, and they're both very successful and have their own businesses. So I don't need, they're not dependent on them, and my grandchildren. But more than that, what's my legacy? What do I go down as? And so one of the things I put as an objective is I want to see if I'm capable of writing a book that's worthwhile for someone to read. And if so, if I could share some of my stories, some of my thoughts as to life and have it be meaningful, that would be something that my ego would get a lot of work with. Okay. That's about as honest as I can be. And
that's fair.
Sorry?
I said that's fair. You said that's like that's what your ego can say for your legacy, right?
My legacy at this point in my life, my legacy gets to be something I think about it, and I'd like that to be meaningful. And so I'm trying to, and one way of doing that, I mean, there'll be company. We still have shares of companies and all that, but some books would be nice that maybe my grandson's grandchildren could read about me 50 years from now or 60 years from now. That's ego at the bottom line, but it's my honest motivation for everyone. So
I love it. I love it. Now at 81, you've had some health scares. You had pressure from family, society, even time itself. Now, how did these external pressures impact your journey in regards to, the goals that for your ego?
Well, when I was younger, I was always in a learning state because everything wasn't new, but there were new problems, new issues, new things. And I'm not going to, but I could tell 1,000 stories of major challenges along those many journeys. Mm-hmm. But I was just fortunate in that I survived, and I won some, I lost some. I put my I put my family at tremendous risk with some of the adventures I got involved with. And because I bet the farm, I mean, the whole thing, if I had failed, we'd probably be living in a tent somewhere. And, but those days are over, and we survived that. And then coming into, in fact, yesterday I had lunch. There was a company over in Seattle that caught my attention, and I was thinking about seeing if there was something there that I might be interested in. And so I made a luncheon appointment with the president, and he didn't know. I mean, I just told him I was interested in the store and so forth. And so we had lunch, and I'd had some of my people run a report on it. I want to do some analysis on it because I didn't know. It's just a wild thing that came up in my head. His company caught my attention, and it's a small company, and it caught my attention. So I had one of my people run a whole bunch of background stuff. So I had I could read about, at least he's not a criminal, at least they're honest business and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we had lunch. And I didn't know, I wanted to be cautious in how to do it. I didn't want to come in and say, I want to buy your company. I was interested in just getting to know the guy. And so we were having an interesting conversation, and it was time to go. He called one of his vice presidents, went with us to lunch. And in that conversation, he was talking about building his business, and he was talking about the frustrations of He doesn't spend enough time with his children. He doesn't. He's got an 11-year-old and a baby on the way. He doesn't see his wife that often. He's always got something to do. I could tell I think he was about 36, 37 years old. He's a big man, but he was overweight. And it was obvious to me that he didn't take care of himself. He wasn't flabby overweight. He was just overweight. And I told he was talking about stuff. And I said, what you really got to think about is where you fit in this. I said, because he'd given me a tour of his company, and they had these guys here, and we're doing that, and he's got the full boat. And I said, you've got a much more important issue that you need to deal with, and that is you need to deal with yourself. You need to put your health, you need to put your family, you need to put, because he had told me the stories of missing his son's, his 11-year-old's baseball game. He'd missed his wife's some party they had in the neighborhood, and he didn't make it home because. And I said, I've been in too many situations like that. And there's always something that will make me have to be somewhere, make me have to do something. I have to make a decision. What's more important? Is it more important for me to have dinner with my wife? Or is it more important for me to go to my grandson's football game? Or is it more important for me to go sit in some freaking board meeting? And the truth is, they're all important. But until you get your life put together and you've got your compass is heading in the right direction, you're just spinning your wheels. And of course, it was funny because his vice president was sitting there just, yeah, he's right. So he obviously wanted him to give him more power. But anyway, it was just a reminder that we all, at whatever level we are, we all have challenges. We all have things that will take us away. And we can call those things shiny objects because that's what they are. And we've got to have our own priorities. And so I have survived because I learned that a long time ago. And I just take it for what it is. And it comes a point in time where, because my big deal was, the reason I left IBM was so I could spend more time with my kids. And I'm very happy that I did that. And I missed a lot until they were in their early teens, but I got to pick up a lot. And now I live next door to one, and the other one's about a half a mile away, and we have their grandkids and all that. So
how important is work-life balance? This is kind of off the cuff, just based on what you shared, because as an entrepreneur, you don't have levels because, I said it earlier on the live, entrepreneurship is the loneliest sport in the world. And so when you think about people that are pressured in 9-to-5 jobs and thinking that entrepreneurship is too risky, what do you say to those people who feel those pressure? And how do you figure out what's important, like that board meeting or that baseball game?
Well, obviously, it's not always going to go to the family thing because some things are really important and you got to deal with them. That comes with the territory and you've got to accept that.
Right.
But because we get so caught up in being in charge of ourselves and doing things, and we have so many interests, every one of us are guilty of being inundated with things that we should be doing either for ourselves or a loved one or whoever it is that we should be doing, and we go do some other things. And it's that shadow area that I'm talking about where, for instance, I have through all my stuff, and I've had a lot of medical issues through my life, and so I have to pay attention to staying somewhat in shape. And what my workout is nothing. I do a little workout, but I make myself walk a couple of miles every day. And there's some days I don't want to walk a couple of miles. Mm-hmm. But there's a thing in my brain that has been taught that, no, Donnie, you're going to walk. Whatever else, whether it's raining or snowing or whatever, you're going to get out there and you're going to do your 2 miles. And there's other things that are like that. And there's things that family events. It doesn't matter if it's a significant family event. I don't care what someone else wants me to do. We're going to go to the family event. And There's a lot of them I don't particularly care about. I had one just not long ago where it was I don't know the relationship. It's my brother-in-law's son's daughter. So whatever that is to me was, was her first birthday. And that was not a significant thing to me, but to my wife, it was very important. And my wife is very important to me. So I had a lot of things I could be doing besides being at a 1-year-old birthday party. But in terms of priority of life, we go to the party because it was important to the family. And whether I enjoyed it or not wasn't the key. The key was it was a responsibility. And anyway, I don't mean to get off and get too personal with all that stuff, but
Well, I do have to say happy anniversary for 61 years. I know you told me offline in regards to the Saturday celebrating 61 years. That's amazing, Papa Don. That isn't on our list. If I have to.
My wife should get the credit, not me. She's the one that put up with all the crap.
That's a beautiful. Love is beautiful. However it looks, but being exactly where you're supposed to be, and that's together. That's amazing in itself, my friend. So, like in regards to advice for those people that are struggling to get shape, how does the advice shape in your 3 steps to 10,000? Just giving advice in those steps. Can you give people like a
If you want me to, I could in about 5 minutes. I could run through every chapter in this with a.
Let's do it, Papa Don.
Like please. I think I haven't done this, but I think I could do it in 4 or 5 minutes.
Let's try it.
So let's see. How does this start? Because this was written for me. I haven't even read the damn thing yet. Papa Don shares his story of turning down a big corporate promotion to spend time with his kids, then selling multiple businesses for millions. Now in his 80s, he's teaching a simple 3-step system to make $10K a month online without the usual complexity. Chapter 1, the foundation in choosing the right product. Every business needs 3 things: a product that solves a real problem, people who want it, and ways to turn them into buyers. Focus on high-ticket products, more than $1,000, that solve urgent problems instead of trying to sell cheap stuff to everyone. Chapter 2 is about the simple math behind fast sales. Selling a $10 product means you need 1,000 buyers to make $10,000. Selling a $1,000 product means you only need 10 buyers. High-ticket sales are actually easier because you're solving bigger problems to fewer people who can afford to pay. Chapter 3 is about the universal business formula, or my universal business formula. Every successful business runs on just 3 elements: your offer, what you sell, your leads, who you sell to, and your sales process, how you convert them. Master these 3 and you can troubleshoot any business problem. Chapter 4, and I go into detail in each chapter. I go into that stuff. Mm-hmm. Chapter 4, high-ticket product selection strategy. Pick products that solve big problems in wealth, health, relationships, or personal fulfillment. Don't create from scratch. Find proven products with good affiliate commissions, $1,000, that you can genuinely recommend. Chapter 5, the specific problem solution match. Get super specific about the exact problem you solve and for whom. Instead of helping people get healthier, target busy dads over 40 who want to lose weight without spending hours at the gym. Specificity makes selling a lot easier. Chapter 6, smart paths to high-ticket income. Q&A form addressing common concerns about selling high-ticket items. Main takeaway: you don't need experience or a following. You just need to connect the right solution with the people who desperately want it. Chapter 7, key takeaways from your business foundation. Recap the foundation concepts. Focus on high-ticket offers. Get specific about who you help and keep everything simple. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Chapter 8, building your automated sales process. Introduction to creating a system that sells for you 24/7. Once set up properly, your business can make sales while you sleep, walk the dog, or take a vacation. Chapter 9, selling all day without lifting a finger. Explains how a simple sales funnel, which is a landing page, a presentation, and an order page, combined with automated follow-up emails, can convert strangers into buyers without you being involved in the sale. Chapter 10, the essential sales funnel structure. Keep your funnel simple: an opt-in page to collect emails, a presentation page to explain your offer, and I lost my place, and an order page to complete the sale. That's it. No complicated multi-step mazes. Chapter 11, automated email follow-up sequence. Most people don't buy on first contact. 80% of sales come from the follow-ups. Set up a 5 to 7 automated emails that educate, build trust, and gently remind people of your offer for 1 or 2 weeks. Chapter 12, funnel technology selection and setup. Start with free or cheap tools like Systems.io or Groove Funnels. Use templates instead of building from scratch. Connect your email service, get a proper domain name, and test everything before launching. Chapter 13, demystifying simple automated funnels. Q&A addressing common fears from tech and automation. Main message: modern tools are drag and drop simple, and basic funnels can be set up in a day, even if you're not technical. Chapter 14, recap the automated sales engine. Summary of the automation section. Build a simple 3-page funnel, add automated emails, use templates, and test everything. This creates a sales system that works without constant attention. Chapter 15, getting targeted leads. Scaling your business. Introduction to finding buyers when they're already hung out online, where they already hang out online, particularly in Facebook groups. Start with free methods, prove what works, then scale with paid advertising. Chapter 16, how social leads turn into sales. People openly share their problems in Facebook groups. By joining these conversations and being helpful, not salesy, you'll naturally attract interested buyers without cold outreach. Chapter 17, Facebook group strategy. Find active groups where your ideal customer discuss their problems. Be helpful by answering questions for a few days, then share valuable content. People will message you asking for help. No pushy sales needed. Chapter 18, content creation on TikTok and Instagram. Create short videos showing your product's benefits in action. Use trending hashtags, collaborate with micro-influencers, and track what works. Consistency beats perfection. And that's an issue that many people get hung up. They'll spend days trying to make the perfect video, and what they really need to do is spend 10 minutes, tell something, and post it, and then do that many times. Chapter 19, scaling with paid advertising. Only run ads after your funnel converts organically. Start with $5 to $10 day budget, test different versions, target specific audiences, and gradually increase spending with what works. Treat it like an experiment, not gambling. Turning conversation into customers. Q&A about practical lead generation. Key points. Join active Facebook groups, create simple problem-solving content, test your funnel with a free traffic first, and start paid ads small later. Chapter 21, recap of lead generation wins, summary of lead generation strategies, start in Facebook groups for immediate access to buyers, create content on TikTok, Instagram for wider reach, then scale with paid ads once you know what works. Chapter 22, what's next? Introduces the 10K Fast Track Mentorship Program, POP, for hands-on help implementing these strategies, plus a review of potential upcoming book, my next book, AI to 100K, about using AI tools to scale faster. The bottom line, this book teaches you to make 10K a month by 1, choosing a high-ticket product that solves a real problem, 2, building a simple automated sales funnel with follow-up emails, and 3, finding customers in Facebook groups and social media, then scaling with paid ads. No fancy tech skills or huge following required, Just follow a proven system. And that book is, I think it's either 150, 160 pages long. And so it goes into some pretty good detail on that stuff.
Yep, and I saw that. So it's 140 pages long.
Is that what it is? Whatever. Okay, 140 pages.
And so we have the publication date here, August 20th, 2025, and looking at just amazing in 140 pages to be able to provide those 3 steps with such clarity as well. And is there a mindset? I mean, is it for gurus or is somebody trying to build
I'm sorry. I should tell you, who is my avatar?
Mm-hmm.
I have two different avatars, but they are actually the same person, actually. One is, there's so many people that are in their 50s and on that are either facing realities of retirement and they need to do something, or they have, as a lot of changes going on in the country now, with besides the great new bill that Trump put through, and the fact that there's technology, a lot of technology companies they're getting rid of people. AI is having an impact, and it's going to have a greater impact. So there's that group of people. And also, I put in there in that same group, though, whatever their age, are people who have bought like the Bobbsey twins or Dave Sharp stuff or whatever, and they got started and they dropped out and they didn't finish. They had that initial desire, they got caught up in their own stuff, or they got caught up in the technology, and they dropped out. I would love, and those are the people that I told you when I used to do the BPA thing. I spent a year and a half talking to 15, 18 of them every day. And those people need help. And God bless all the guys that put all these programs together, because they are sophisticated and they are powerful, and they do have technical challenges to a lot of people. And a lot of people get caught up in that. I want to give those people who would like to be in the business, they don't really want to become everything up front. They're going to give themselves a chance. I want them to have a way to simply, and they can make 10K in a short period of time, and they can. And I just want to help those people. And if they get through all the fluff that's out there from every vendor and all the gurus that don't know what in the hell they're talking about, and most people don't know how to separate one from the other until they've been through the experience. But for those people that have the desire but have had their own frustrations and their own setbacks and so forth, I know that if you follow certain things and you just do this and just get started, 2 things happen. You get by that proof of concept for yourself. You see $1 or $20 or $2,000 or some number come in, and all of a sudden it validates that little bit of work you did. And now you got a little revenue. And so now you're a little more motivated to take it to the next level. And if you just give yourself a chance to reach that peak by staying on the trail and taking one step at a time, everyone can succeed. And hopefully some of them will actually have the opportunity of being able to be their best selves. And we have a lot of people with a tremendous amount of talent and opportunity inside of them that don't trust themselves. And if we can just give them a little success and a little confirmation that it works for them, most of them will take off and blossom. And to me, it's like planting a seed. If you spray water on it too hard and too fast, you're just going to wash it away.
Right.
But plant a seed and you take care of that seed and you give it the water it needs and let the sun get on it. So a beautiful plant's going to grow out of it. And we've got a lot of seeds that need to be taken care of. And anyway, that's something that I'm highly interested in.
And I agree with you so wholeheartedly, because again, we typically stop right at the brink when that change is about to happen of the best version of yourself, because we're part of this microwave era where we want everything right now. So if you had to name one enemy, Papa Don, that holds most people back in regards to success, what would you say that one enemy would be?
The one thing.
Because I know you've had so much experience in regards to listening to people and their struggles. And
yeah, I know. Well, I really think if people would just stay within their lane, if they would have it have the perspective of that they're not supposed to know all of this stuff. They don't have to learn it all at one time. That they can like a little kid, they can go to the ice cream store and they can have a small ice cream and they can enjoy that a lot. And as they grow and they get older, they can have more. They can do it differently. But the thing that I see, people don't trust themselves enough. People don't believe in themselves enough. That becoming the best version of you is a dream, but it's not a dream. It's a dream only if you don't do the things, take the steps you have to take for yourself. And that's different for every one of us. Your dreams are different than my dreams, but I mean, we come in common. We're in this business, and so we both enjoy this business. Okay, and that's fine. One of my son's company he's a big construction guy, and he does mostly big, very expensive remodels, and he's backed up 2 years, with work. My other son has a company. They clean huge boats. They take care of them, and it's a magnificent business because big boats are extremely expensive to keep up, and there's a backlog of. I mean, up where I live, you're never going to run out of boats to clean. And anyway, so those boys do things that I don't want to do, but they're both successful because what they do is precisely what they want to do, and exactly. It is where they should be. I would go crazy being around having to clean another bamboo. Now, he doesn't have to clean them, but his people, I wouldn't. That is not anything I would be interested in whatsoever, other than it makes him very happy. And my other son, who's he's dealing with construction, that's a little more, but that's not who I am. That's who he is. But they both found what they wanted to do, and they had success. And so I think in helping other people, giving them the opportunity to find what they can do. They may have the dream, but they got to be able to take some of the small steps first. And so I just tried to do something I tried to dumb it down to the point that
I love it. Now most people get so excited, especially in our business. They get so excited at first when they sign up and they're in. Oh, yeah. And then they hit that wall of doubt, right? Now, Did you ever feel like maybe this won't work for me when you were either writing the book or even getting started with the digital journey?
Well, writing the book, I had a lot of thoughts like that. But getting started with the digital journey, I just knew it was going to be rocky, and I was going to have a lot of bumps, and I was going to have a lot of things I have to just deal with. So because of all my past experience, I was prepared for that. I expected it, and it all happened. I mean, did I have issues? You damn right, I had a lot of issues. There was some of the stuff I just could not get square in my head, and it wasn't until much later. I mean, I
know about it.
I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I still learn new stuff. Well, there's a lot of technology that's changing now. AI is bringing a lot of big stuff to the table, but just like you take copywriting. Well, I don't even want to bring copywriting up at the level of three steps. That it's not important at that level. It
Right.
truly isn't. But it becomes, and you know this, it becomes extremely important as you get out of grade school and you get to junior high or maybe the first grades in high school. You better spend a little energy about understanding copywriting, because it's going to bite you in the butt if you don't. And anyway, but that's just the progression that people go through. I am very interested in so many people that their lives are going to change, and they are changing. You know, we get stuff in the newspaper all the time about these guys getting laid off, these guys getting laid off.
Right.
Those people don't. I mean, I think about, and I don't mean to get off into politics, but I think that in terms of getting rid of a lot of the government employees, where it's waste and so forth, and whether it's as bad as Musk says it was, or I'm certain it's bad, and I'm certain that there is waste, and they do need to limit all that. But I also think about this 55-year-old woman that graduated from Georgetown University, got a job somewhere in the district, has worked her way up in that organization, has been a faithful employee and busted her butt to do the best job she could.
Right.
And now she's on the street. Now that to me is a tragedy. On the one hand, I understand why we have to cut too many of the people and get them out of the system. On the other hand, there's a person that is broken now, and she's in a hard place, because now, is there something? Is she interested in online marketing? I don't know if she is or she's not. But if she picked it up on TikTok or Instagram or somewhere, or from a grandchild or whomever, if she understood she could, there's a lot of intelligence there. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of of power there that just needs the rudder moved a little bit for her so she can get back on course. And if I could personally impact one of those people, it would make my day big time. It would make my month. It would make it all worthwhile. That's legacy. And that's what I care about.
And to my friend, I know you brought up Legendary, and we talked about Jonathan Montoya, and we talked about Daniel Chu and Nathan Bokers and David Sharp with Legendary Marketer. And one thing that stands out with me with the online space, that it might be a myth for some people in regards to even the example that you spoke of, all ages are welcome. So it's like, if you put forth the action and go work towards it, there's someone there. There's a me, there's a you, there's someone that you will be able to connect with, because it's like a community of people, but you have to take action. So what do you say to that person who has already tried and failed and now feels skeptical about trying again?
I'm going to find out here recently, because I haven't given my wife the book to read yet. And my wife is a gardener. She's a very good gardener. She's in the garden clubs, and people come over to our house because the things that she's done, and she's done a beautiful job. But I have just laid out little, you ought to get some of these, because you give these talks. Why don't you do a talk online and start? And she doesn't want to do that yet, and I'm not going to push her. But I'm the reason I've held back on the book. I want it to be out. Hopefully, her husband's going to be a best-selling author by a few days from now, and maybe she'll read the book, and maybe she'll pay attention to it. If she does, she would be great. She would, if she took to it, she could be very successful with it. And because she's very popular and she speaks well and all that. But we'll see. That's up to her. It's not up to me. But that's, and I don't know who's in the audience, but people that have never got into the online marketing, or people that have tripped along the way. I'm not going to teach them that much more. All I'm going to show them is how simple it really is, and just do these things and take the complexity off the table and just do some basic things and start generating revenue. And 10K is not a lot of money to make in this world. Yeah, I mean, in this business. It's
So without giving it all away, what's one principle that you would say in your book that almost nobody online talks about, but can change everything about someone getting started?
just simply how simple it is. And you get all the fluff out of it. And if you take, all the people you talked about that sell programs, I respect every one of them. And every one of their programs are filled with fluff until it's scary. And every one of them are filled with detail that is, yes, it's there, but when you're getting started, you don't need that detail. You just need to get started. And so
but take me back, Papa Don, to a time where it was tough for you to get started, and how did you overcome that lack of getting started and was able to be successful?
You're talking about in online marketing?
Yes.
Well, like I said earlier, I just accepted the fact that it was going to be a rocky road, and it was going to be something I got to work on, and I knew it was going to be that, and I knocked a lot of hurdles over, and I fell on the track a lot of times, and I made a lot of mistakes, but did I get discouraged? Yeah, I got discouraged by screwing up because it was me. I'm smarter than this. I don't need to make those kind of mistakes, and that kind of upset. But in terms of my objective was to become a master. My objective was to know how this works and control it and drive revenue and build a business that I don't have to do everything and I can just direct, which is what I enjoy doing more than all the tech stuff. I mean, like, we have a problem with my TV. I'm going to call one of my grandchildren and have them come over and fix it. I'm not going to spend a month fixing that damn TV or figuring out what's wrong with it. I don't care. That's not what I do. And but anyway, I hope I answered your question.
You definitely did. So this is why this is not just a conversation. This is actually an invitation for people to keep it simple. Like you said, someone that's been trusted in the game, has experience that's guided them through these different steps. What will readers walk away from, Papa Don, by investing 99 cents for the next 48 hours? Like you said, putting your goal to a side, being able to help someone, be able to have opportunities.
Maybe if I hadn't even thought of that, but that's a good question, because someone that's in a role similar to mine, where you have responsibility for other people. So many of us get caught up in our own technology and our own stuff, and in our communications, and to others, we make it a little more overwhelming than it sometimes has to be. And so maybe if nothing else, then my writing style and my low-key approach and keeping everything on a very narrow track that you have to really screw up to not make it work. But that's on purpose, and it's because someone, if they can make the 10K, because I do believe that 10K is a magical number. Once you make 10K, a lot of people, that's bigger than what they get paid for their jobs, and it's a target. I had to pick a target, so I picked 10K. But if you can make 10K, you've done something right, and you've got enough right that now you can start expanding, and you can start morphing yourself. And when you start playing the games like you're playing and the games like I'm playing and so forth, the numbers become very, very different numbers. But we all had to start somewhere. You had to start. I had to start.
And it's not just a 99 cent book, actually, right? It's actually a $10,000 plan disguised as one. So just giving people in only simply 3 steps. So I know I took more than enough time here today with you, Papa Don. I truly appreciate your time, because again, just this opportunity, having Amazon, just even aiming for this opportunity and just walk us through one more time on how someone would go through the steps. And do you have any incentives that you have, or you wanted to share, that if someone invests in the book, that they will be able to receive?
Oh, what they're yeah. I'm sorry. There's if they want it.
Yes.
The bonuses that are with the book are and this is one of Jonathan Montoya's key programs, and I have covered it, and I'm giving that away to people that buy the book. And I don't remember what that program costs, but I think it's a few $100s, or I don't know. It might be more than that, but it's a very good program. I went through it years ago, and it's not years ago, a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I'm giving, which I'm very proud of, is we've got a little AI prompt book, and it's got some magic in it, and we all are going to have our opportunity to get to know AI a lot better. And this is a head start. That's another thing that I have been studying. Like I studied online marketing started a few years ago. I'm a year and a half now I got into a AI beta group about a year and a half ago. And so I've been advanced now to a higher level. That's the little prompt books. But it really is a very useful little book. And so those are the two things I'm giving away. And,
okay. So I know I've literally taken your time, and and so is there anything else that you would like to kind of touch base on in regards to the 99-cent Amazon? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Before I get my excited.
I'm going to. I've been very candid as to why I wrote the book. I've been very candid as to what I get out of the book. I'm trying to game the Amazon algorithm to get that bestseller status. And the reason I want that is, one, I've already said my ego, but two, I want it because I'm going to be releasing additional books, and that gives me a much better shot to sell those books. And very honestly, there's a lot of online marketers right now that haven't come to face the reality that the tundra is shifting underneath us as we speak, and learning how to write a book is probably a pretty smart thing for a lot of people to do, because as I've got into it, the way you can market out of a book is absolutely staggering. And I didn't know that when I did that purely because I wanted to write a book. But as I've got into it, and now I understand it more, have taken on some mentors to help me in terms of strategy and so forth. For instance, as an example, in the back of that book, if someone read it and they hadn't done anything with any of the softwares, whether it be Jonathan or the Bobbsey twins or David Sharp or whomever, in the back of that book, there's my affiliate link for the Bobbsey twins software, because that's what I think the people that I'm targeting to that need something that's up and going, that's very powerful, that's easy to learn, and key is the level of customer service that company has. So there is, for me, because when this is over and the book is selling for $29 or $19.95, there's still going to be book sales, and whether I get to be a best-selling author or not, it's going to be decided Wednesday and Thursday, the next 48 hours. And whether that happens or not, I'm going to market with books, because what you can do with books is you can drop, you can drive every piece of online marketing we deal with, you can drive it from a book, and whether you're putting chapters on your YouTube page or your whatever you're doing, it's staggering. And I didn't know that. This last year though, I've become, like I said, I took on a couple of mentors, and I've been learning this stuff, and it's powerful. And it used to be where we had to In fact, what I teach in this is we got to put our, what do you call it? Well, I just did an 81-year-old deal. I just went blank. Where we feed our internet stuff. I mean, I'll be damned. TikTok, and Instagram. So, you do your videos with TikTok and Instagram. Well, guess what? If you're doing books and you're publishing and you're running a blog or you're doing whatever, and people to start picking up on your books, and you start getting discussion groups and so forth. You're having a discussion group about a book, but guess what you're really doing? You're creating a whole community, just like you're doing right now.
Yes.
The power of a book. You should have a book. And
I will.
Yes.
I'm creating my Billionaire Journey digital book as we speak, but the written version is going to happen once I hit a couple of goals. So, and I'll start doing that series as well. It will.
We'll talk.
Definitely.
So anyway, I have many aspirations as to how to leverage the power of having a book out. And what's really staggering, and I didn't know this, is because Amazon, to me, what Amazon is something if I need anything, I just go on my page and order it, and it gets delivered at the house, and that's it. They are really sophisticated when it comes to books, and their reach is millions and millions of people, and they sell a lot of books. But anyway, I just need to sell a few hundred in the next 48 hours, and I'll be golden.
Well, ChatGPT is rooting for you too. So he's saying, help Papa Don hit Amazon bestseller. Family, let's come together and support Papa Don. ChatGPT, that's my AI bot. So he's saying at 81 years old, he proves that it's never too late to build lasting income online. His new book, 3 Steps to 10K, is packed with wisdom, simple systems, and real life experience that will inspire anyone chasing financial freedom. So here's the mission. Buy the version for 99 cents on August 20th to the 21st. Leave a quick review after you read it, and then share a link with a friend for 99 cents to help with hope, clarity, and a proven path to income. So every purchase helps Papa Don to Amazon bestseller status. So we're going to get you to part of this legacy, and we're going to drop this into all the communities. I'm going to do that tonight. And, it's our turn to show up for you. And let's make history together. See how Chad is just so interactive with us?
I love it. I do love
it. Yes, my friend. So any final thoughts to be able to wrap up this amazing opportunity to do this with you, Papa Don?
I appreciate the opportunity and to be with your group, and I thank you for it. And I will want to reward everyone some way, and I'll come up with someone, and you keep track of it. And
well, let's talk about it. We'll have you back on for a live, and maybe even a private virtual type thing that we'll figure out.
All right, whatever works for you, honey. I'm a believer.
Me too, my friend. So future Amazon bestseller, Papa Don Meek, thank you so much for your time this evening.
And everyone's job is to get that future off of the front of that. And
I know that's right. That's it. Keeping it simple. Just take it off.
Let's erase future. Okay.
So
I knew him before. There you go. Thank you, Adriane.
Thank you, Papa Don. And thank you, every single one of you all. Please leave a comment to follow, to be able to be a part of this journey that Papa Don is having, and that we're here. We're helping someone reach a goal, reach a why. And so I'm calling out everybody. Papa Don is modest. I'm calling out Passion Over Profits. I'm calling out my family with Daniel Chu and Nathan Bokers, the Bopsy twins. Jonathan Montoya, Funnel Freedom, Passion Income Lifestyles. David Sharp with Legendary Marketer. We're helping our one of our own get to a goal. At 99 cents, that's cheap. That's cheaper than going to the store, and you can do it literally from the actual seat of your home. So like Papa Don told me, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm competitive in nature. We want to hit this goal. So again, I'm going to do the follow-up. I'm sorry, you're going to hear snippets. You're going to have the next 48 hours. We're on a path. We're on a vengeance to help Donald Meek, Papa Don, hit his goal. So hopefully you've enjoyed this live virtual conversation. The pop off to the random acts of kindness for the trail to 46. Ooh, this is going to be amazing. And you know how we end our live conversations, my friends. I can, I will, I shall be victorious. What up, though? Detroit, Michigan. Let's go. We're in this. See you soon. And I'll be able to announce on Thursday, Papa Don, Amazon bestseller with your help. Let's go.